Gene being Citizen of Gotham, it is Thursday, May 21st, 2015. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. I do appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well. Almost at the end of the week. We have a 3-day reprieve from our enslavement. Woohoo! Activist post, government witch hunt to eliminate Monsanto critics. This ought to be good. By John Rappaport. Usually he writes decent articles or good ones. U.S. Department of Agriculture scientists under the gun. Explosive details. Anyone can fake scientific results, but to be believed, you want a prestigious organization behind you with $1 billion budget and access to complaint reporters. You want to manipulate technical language. You want to keep saying how much you care about people, and then you also want to get down and dirty when you have to, and threaten and coerce your in-house scientific dissenters who go along with the fakery, cut their pay, demote them, fire them, ruin their careers and lives. This is all standard procedures in the major leagues of science. I watched it happen. The Underground, John Rappaport. Wonder how federal agency as large as the USDA can keep claiming pesticides like Roundup are safe. Wonder how the truth can be kept from leaking out. Wonder how this agency tasked with protecting the public from unsafe food can turn fake science into real science like clockwork. Well, fake science to be pseudoscience. Same thing. However, wonder how in Hawaii, Monsanto and Dow can defend their toxic open-air pesticide experiments as approved by the USDA. Government scientists who believe in exposing the truth are being targeted. 10 scientists at the United States Department of Agriculture are on such a target list because their research findings would harm big corporate agriculture. See Common Dreams 5515, Suppressing Science for Monsanto. Peer public employees for environmental responsibility, a non-profit group, knows who these scientists are, but they aren't talking, not yet. They're trying to gain protection for the researchers. Here is a March 26 release from the PEER. USDA urged to shield its scientists from harassment. Scientists within the United States Department of Agriculture are subjected to management pressure and retaliation for research threatening agricultural business. Of course, they will be defamated. Their characters lose their career, which is bullying, fear-mongering, but it's more bullying. So then people will become compliant or complicit, which happens all over the world, which is what we are, as well as I am. We're all guilty of that to a certain extent. Just like if you see an officer punching someone, really we have a right to jump in. Really, the person has a right to defend themselves, but the system is so upside down, and they have you believe that you are in the wrong, and then also one who does that does take the chance of being, at the very least, arrested and probably have the shit beat out of them, because once they go to jail, cops will get you in a cell and beat the shit out of you. And if they don't do it, which they would rather do today, they will put you in a cell with a bunch of real, murderers and felons and lie to them and say, oh, he molested the kid, and they'll probably almost kill you. And if they don't do that, they'll just beat the shit out of you on the spot and arrest you. So it comes with consequence, but that's the fear, and the fear keeps people paralyzed, which is unfortunate. And I might be guilty of that too. Thankfully, I haven't run into any of that, and I get very scared because I think about it and feel that if I saw that, I'd probably do something, but it's scary because, I don't want to be tortured and beaten apart. I basically, you jump in, you really should have the assumption you're probably going to lose your life because you get arrested and go to jail. That's probably going to be the worst thing for you. It's probably better to get shot on the spot after jumping in. But anyway, the fear, more importantly, is what I'm underscoring, is what keeps people at bay. It's always been that way. Fear. Peer, PEER, has received reports concerning USDA scientists ordered to retract studies, water down findings, which means lie, remove their name from authorship, and endure long, indefinite delays in approving publication of papers that may be controversial. So that means their stuff is subverted. Moreover, USDA scientists who are targeted by big agriculture industry complaints find these themselves subjected to disruptive investigations, disapprovals of formerly routine requests, which means they can't get things done that they want to do, so they basically become static and null and void, so to speak. Disciplinary actions over petty matters and intimidation from USDA supervisors focused on pleasing stakeholders. So that means they don't get promoted, or they have reprisals against them where they're actually demoted. They lose cuts in pay, they lose grants, they lose subsidies, they lose things in their lab or whatever they're trying to research. They'll have those things taken away, and then that is all done as usual because the big agriculture has putting a lot of money into these places. So obviously the higher ups are all bought and paid for. So being bought and paid for, they have to protect their stakeholders. That's the whole thing. Money talks. It's a disgusting system. Money, the fiat monetary system. Even all money should be abolished, but people think that we need money. People think we need government. People think we need police. People think we need schools. People think we need war. People think we need to be protected. People think there are big bad boogeymen out there. All of that are lies, and once you get a little bit older, and I'm not that old, but once you get older, you eventually realize that the world is, no offense, full of shit. And all these things are nothing but propaganda, psyops, to scare people and to keep people at bay. So it's basically enslaving everyone, even though most people will not believe that or will deny that or have cognitive dissonance about that or attack someone like me, or anyone saying it. I just mean someone like me because I'm promoting that or suggesting that. But that is what it is. The stakeholders, of course, would include huge biotech companies like Monsanto. This company is such a piece of shit, this company. They are poisoning people. They know that. They purposefully do that. There was a video circulating on YouTube where one Monsanto spokesman went on an interview, and the reporter said, well, we have some Roundup. Why don't you drink it? Because the guy was saying, oh, it's safe. You could drink a liter of that a day, and nothing would happen to you. And he says, well, we have it right here. We'll pour you a glass. You want to drink it? He says, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. And like, come on, it's safe. Why don't you do it? So I'm not going to do that. I'm not stupid. So he literally admitted, knee-jerk reaction. Subconsciously, he wasn't even trying to, but he actually admitted that the shit is bad to drink, and that obviously they're lying. And then he refused to do it, and then he got mad, and got pissed off at the person, said, oh, what kind of interview are you? You're a piece of crap, and he got up and stormed away like a little child. Just like little children get mad, and they stand there and stamp their feet, and they do their little, puss mouth, and they pat out their lip, and they walk away. Back 30 years ago, a kid would get smacked upside the head for acting like that. It'd be like, yo, you're acting like a little shit. You actually be told 30 years ago, you're acting like a little shit. They would tell that to a kid, you're acting like a little shit. Stop it. After you got smacked, don't act like a little shit. Now it's like, oh, you have to worry about, oh, well, we don't appreciate your attitude, young man, and you have to be afraid to even say that. Anyway, it's retarded. The world's upside down. As Charlton Heston said in Planet of the Apes, it's a madhouse, a madhouse. That was very true. USDA scientific integrity policy actively enables USDA agency managers to suppress, nice, and alter scientific work papers for their policy implications regarding of their technical merit. So if agency managers, the higher-ups who are working under the big deals like the big, guys who have the biggest thing in between their legs walking around, who get the most money, they have their little cronies under them. So those are the agency managers. They are obviously looking over, making the job easier for their boss above them, who doesn't really do much other than collect money. That's why they have the little subordinates that they delegate to, who actually do the work of busting balls and suppressing evidence and work, creating redactions, just refusing to publish stuff. Tell people, order them to change the implications of the storyline, whatever, the narrative, whatever you want to call it. It also appears clear that agribusiness interests such as Monsanto Corporation have access to top USDA agency managers and are invited to lodge complaints and concerns about their published work of USDA agency scientists. Significantly, the USDA policy lacks any mechanism to effectively challenge this political manipulation of science. Very true, and if anyone gets it, who's been studying anything in the news, especially if you're a YouTuber and you watch YouTube and you watch the so-called truthers, which I guess I would be considered of, as I try to say another thing. Yes, we're all looking for the truth, or I would say veracity, which is truthfulness. Excuse me. But in anything, when you say a truther or a realist, or even I sometimes say a humanist, all that is labels, right? So ultimately it's still compartmentalization, it's still labeling people and things, and I understand that because people have to be logical, I get it, but still it's a label nonetheless. So this thing about no mechanisms and all that, if you have followed any YouTubers, there's been a ton of published work about TPP. Matty D has done a tremendous amount of work on that. Truth Virus has done a tremendous amount of work. FYGB has done a tremendous amount of work. Professor Doom has done a tremendous amount of work. I think Freedom Fighter 2127 has done a lot of work. Who else has done stuff? I'm blanking on other people, but sorry if I missed a few other people. But a lot of other people have covered it. Kafka Winston World has covered that tremendously. I think even Rise Together, she's covered that as well. There have been other people, I'm sorry, but there's, I subscribe to like 100, 200 people, and I watch 99% of the videos. So there's just a tremendous amount of a wealth of knowledge, as I've covered as well, about the TPP. So this is, in my opinion, correlating to that, because TPP is basically giving conglomerates, overseas companies, full reign to do anything they want, where they can manipulate anything they want, and they can't be held accountable for anything. So as I said in one of my videos on TPP, what all these companies that have home bases here, well, what they will do is, once the TPP goes through, which it will, what they'll happen to do is they'll move and take all their home bases offshore and onshore here, and put them offshore in another foreign country. That way they'll be completely immune. So this is the same thing where it's happening in the science, agricultural business, or entity, organization where there's no recourse, that you can't do anything about anything. You get screwed, and that's what's going to happen with the TPP. In short, that's what it's about. It's deeper than that, but that's pretty much the most of it, the gist of it. The PEER petition goes on to describe what truth-telling USDA scientists face. USDA scientists have been subjected to directives not to publish data on certain topics of particular sensitivity to big agriculture and industry. Again, what's amazing about this is which a lot of people are in jobs, they have to keep their mouth shut about stuff, so that's a much smaller scale, and people sweat about things like that. And, I'm at a crappy-ass job, and I worry about losing my job, and it's a nowhere job. It pays absolutely no money, and I'm working with, people who have their heads up their ass, for a better term, and don't care about what they're doing, and I have to be worried that they don't complain, so I get fired. So it's always this constant state of fear. So this is on a much larger scale when you're dealing with big money, and you have a big paycheck and a big title. It's understandable. I'm not saying it's justified, but it's a little more understandable. Take whatever you're going through, 10 times it by 10, and that's what some of these people are going through. And I'm not trying to illuminate them as anything high mighty or anything, but their context of the situation is a little more gray because of the positions they hold. Not that we hold lowly positions, but having little jobs is a little bit different than when you're in a bigger position like this, so to speak, where you're a scientist and you're finding all these findings, or you're surmising all these findings, and you want to promote them to get the truth out, and then you're really being suppressed, where your whole laboratory and your whole career can be just jeopardized and just destroyed in a matter of seconds, or in a 24-hour period. So it's understandable. It doesn't justify it, but it's understandable is my point. Orders to rewrite scientific articles already accepted for publication in a peer-reviewed journal, to remove sections which could provoke big agriculture industry's objections. Summons to meet with USDA Secretary Bislak. It's a nice name, it sounds like a reptilian, is an effort to induce a retraction of a paper that drew the ire of big agricultural industry representatives. Orders to retract a paper after it has been accepted for publication in a peer-reviewed journal. The paper could only be published if the USDA scientist removed his authorship, thus leaving only the names of authors unassociated with the USDA. That's for lack of accountability, which is why they removed the names. So then it's a gray area. It's just, this is the information we got. Demotion from supervisory status with a reprimand after the scientists provided testimony before Congress that did not reflect USDA agency preferences. Disruptive and lengthy internal investigations to search out any irregularity that could be used for management leverage against the targeted scientists. Suspensions without pay and other disciplinary actions of petty matters such as minor irregularities in travel paperwork. Inordinate, sometimes indefinite delays in approving submission for publication of scientific papers that may become controversial, meaning that they never get published or they get disappeared, meaning the paperwork, not the person. Restrictions on topics that USDA scientists may address in conference presentations. Amazing. That's self-explanatory. Threats of USDA managers to damage the careers of USDA scientists whose work triggers big ag industry complaints. USDA scientists working on topics with direct relevance to big ag industry interests are under constant pressure not to do anything to upset these important stakeholders. Why is money ruling the world? That's why we don't need it. I will not digress any further. Rather than shield staff scientists from big ag industry influence, USDA managers amplify it. This is a witch hunt. The notion of believing anything the USDA says or publishes is absurd. Hear, hear. Claims of inherent safety and value of GMO food, claims about the safety of pesticides, the assertion that corporations like Monsanto and Dow are favored USDA clients, smoke blowing in the wind. I would say blowing smoke up the ass of the people because of the two said companies. Claims the USDA is serving the public interest, a fairy tale. So this person wrote a good article, albeit a little short, but it was a good article nonetheless. Let's see, there's going to be a couple links. I've also put in a link for the TPP as well as one about Monsanto. Suppressing science for Monsanto groups demand an investigation. Let's see when this was written. Does it say? No, it doesn't. Rather short article. Another one, USDA urged to shield the scientists from harassment, March 26, 2015. More than 25 farm worker, environmental, and food safety organizations sent an open letter on Tuesday to the United States Department of Agriculture demanding that an agency invest reports that scientists are facing retaliation and suppression of their research on controversial neonicotinoid insecticides that pose danger to pollinator and human health, which is why one of all these reasons that bees are dying all over everywhere, the honeybees, which are imperative to agriculture and imperative to the ecosystem. It is imperative, nice word, yeah, they use my word. It is imperative that the USDA maintain scientific integrity and does not allow for harassment, censorship of suppression of findings that counter the interests of industry, states the letter, whose signatures include Farm Worker Justice, Food and Water Watch, and Center for Biological Diversity. The letter follows a petition filed in March by the advocacy organization Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility, PER, charging that USDA scientists whose work carries with it a policy implications that negatively reflect upon USDA corporate stakeholder interests routinely suffer retaliation and harassment. Peer Executive Director Jeff Rutch told Common Dreams that the petition was drafted based on the experiences of 10 USDA scientists who allegedly faced retaliation and punishment for research on neonicotinoid pesticides and glyphosate, which is included in Monsanto's Roundup herbicide. You can drink it all the time. It's perfectly healthy, as well as being funny, as well as related topics including genetically modified crops. According to the petition, consequences include suspension without pay, threats of irreparable damage to careers, and demotion from the supervisor status, and a reprimand after the science provided testimony before Congress that did not reflect agency preferences. Each one of these actions delivers a powerful message to all colleagues, said Rutch, who argued that retaliation against researchers stems from the coziness of the agency with the industry the USDA never met. The USDA never met a biotechnology it didn't embrace, he said. Tuesday's letter specifically sounds the alarm on the immediate implications for pollinator and human health. Bees, as I was saying, butterflies, birds, and other critical pollinators are in great peril, and populations are dwindling worldwide. The letter states a growing body of scientific evidence has implicated neonicotinoids, are leading driver of bee declines in glyphosate, phosphate as a leading driver of destruction of milkweed and the sole food source of monarch butterflies. Recently, the World Health Organization research arm, the International Agency for Cancer Research, IARC, updated its cancer determination for glyphosate, categorizing it as probably carcinogenic to humans, Group 2A, after reviewing scientific research from 17 of the world's top oncology experts from 11 countries. The letter continues. Yet the administration of the U.S. President Barack Obama has not taken meaningful measures to cut the use of dangerous pesticides. The missive argued the charges. Of course he won't, because he's in bed, the bedfellows, even though he's a puppet. This is all scenery for people, distractions of what's really going to be deeper down under the surface. The letter calls for the USDA to conduct a thorough investigation into this matter and enter its findings into the public record. Meanwhile, Peer is pushing for the agency to adopt specific policies to protect scientists from retaliation. Critics warn that allegations of the USDA suppression of scientists have broad human rights implications. Of course, if we cannot trust the scientific integrity of our scientists to protect bees, how can farm workers be assured that their health and safety is not in jeopardy from a scientific community that is beholden to the interests of corporations and not to the protection of their own health and safety? A very well point. Asked Janine Economos of the Farm Worker Association of Florida in the past. In the press statement, the issue goes beyond only protecting bees, the issue goes beyond only protecting bees, but to protecting the public health, especially the most vulnerable as well. Good article. Like I said, I'll put in a couple links from this. I would check out stuff if you want. There's another link right there. So there'll be 3 or 4 links in the description box. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. Be well, stay balanced, namaste.